I asked the question: does the government regret anything it has said in the past? And as because you see now the language sort of shifting, in a way where the government's being a little more neutral now to the issue than they were. So I wanted to get a truthful answer out of them, and I think we're getting there, but I think it'll just take time at the end of the day.
Did you feel like they answered your question or did they avoid it?
Well, we all know how politicians are in a way.
How are politicians? Describe that to me.
So you can't answer the question directly. I made my question pretty open-ended because I wanted to see where the conversation was going to lead to. So yeah, I felt like the way that the conversation was going was answering my question in a way where it was more asking them what their opinion was than do you support the people on the street, pretty much.
Have you protested?
Yes, personally, I have attended a pro-Palestine rally to be there for my community when they need it. And again, I would also like to say we respect both sides, even the people out of my community. At the end of the day, we want less people dead. And I think that is a pretty small thing to ask for.
It's a good way to frame it. I'm going to go to our other questioner who, I know you asked Adam Bant a question, and it was a really direct question about his involvement in the pro-Palestine movement or rallies. He was quite direct with you back. What did you make of his answer?
Look, I think Adam attends rallies with people that support the goals of Hamas, and I'm not aware that he condemns the attacks, but I haven't heard him say that he considers Hamas a terrorist organisation, which is what the government...
I think he has said that to fact check, okay. Honestly, he has. And he has condemned the people that go to those demonstrations who do say those things. And there are some people, but there are others who don't, and that's the nuance. You don't agree?
I think the call that is made for Israel to stop occupying what they consider Palestinian land from 1948 when Israel was created tells me that they're not interested in a two-state solution, they're not interested in peace, and that seems to be quite a prominent view in the community of protesters. I was really glad to hear saying that he wants there to be less conflict, but I mean most of us in my community see that to get to peace, we have to remove the impediment to peace, and that is Hamas.
Okay, hands up, anyone who wants to share an insight from the show, and now I'm getting hands, which is good because I asked for them, of things that you observed tonight. Let me come up on this step.
I mean, I'd just like to say, the State of Israel said this could all stop if they gave back the hostages, and that's what could happen. I think the most humane type of ceasefire that we talk about is the return of the hostages, which will guarantee aid to civilians in Gaza. I think that's the most humane way that this conflict could go.
So what I think will happen if Hamas will be defeated in Gaza, Gazans will be free. If Hezbollah will be defeated in Lebanon, Lebanese will be free. If the Ayatollahs will be defeated in Iran, Iranians will be free. And that's where it should end.
There are many people who are suffering, that's for sure.
I'm Jewish myself, just on father's side, but I'm a well-travelled, I travel a lot and I listen to a lot of people when I can. So it's, I guess the main thing to worry about is, in my perspective, or just on a geopolitical point of view, you have a lot of different countries to deal with, and we have lost the G7, G20. We are also have to worry about, the BRICS has a parallel trade system that we have to worry about. Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa.
It's a busy world.
It's a busy world, but we have a rules-based order we have to consider.
We should have a rules-based order.
We should, and there's just a lot, to worry about in terms of trade and, you know, international conflict and that kind of thing, and we have to just consider, you know, what's the best way that we can guarantee security and make sure that people are safe and overall.
Yeah, something that really kind of caught me in a little thread that went through a lot of the topics from our foreign policy to the idea of a referendum on not just the voice but also republic, is it really seems, and also just watching what's happened in Australia over the past 6 months, is there's this real inability for not just people on the panel, not just our media, our governments, to really deal with and talk about colonisation and how that affects our policy, our foreign policy, our climate policy, the way we even interact with our institutions. And I feel like that is a huge gap in not just our education, but our general citizen building, in understanding so much of what's happening in the world today as an affect of not just colonisation, but settler colonisation, particularly as coming from Australians, who many of us have benefited from that. And I want to see us more actively engaging with that fact as a fact, so we can actually start truth-telling, not just from an Australian perspective, but understanding our geopolitical position more widely.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. I feel like mixed views on truth-telling, I thought, on the panel. Yep.
I was thinking that probably the most appropriate way of supporting the tragedy that happened in Gaza, and that wouldn't have ignited things that you know happened after the Opera House flag, would have been to have both the Palestinian and the Israeli
like
flags,
a two-state solution,
which would have actually acknowledged the tragedies of humanitarian crisis. You know, without having the nationalities, the race, or the religions come into play.
Yeah, it's an interesting point.
Yeah.
Well, Australia keeps saying we support a two-state solution, don't we? And that is the goal, although it does feel far away. Hey, you've all been such a wonderful audience. Thanks for coming out on Monday night. We're back in Sydney in a couple of weeks, so come again.